What is up, guys? It's Vance back here again with another Supercoach video. This time it is the AFL Round 2 review. Not a bad week for us. We did put out a 2037. Much better than obviously last week. We went up 37,000 places to 58k. Now, honestly, sort of... It's been a little bit rough, obviously, the start, and we got a few things wrong, but we did get a few things right. So you got to look at the positives in that retrospect, and I think these first two rounds were always going to be our hardest, just in the sense that we did build our team really around avoiding bye players, and some of these bye players have played really well so far, and it's obviously going to punish us in the first couple of rounds before they run into their buys, e.g. Tom Green, Matt Rowell, Flanders, Miller, even Hogan, things like that, where these players, they've gone off, but they're coming into their round 3 bye, and this is honestly the big week that we're going to make the difference, because round 1 and 2 they played, and missing them sucked because they played really well, but the reason we avoided them is because they do have really quick buys to start the season. So round 3 coming in, this should be a much better week for us. We also did have a great bounce back in the sense that Dacos had a very down game, obviously owned by 80% of the competition. He drops a 54, and it's just absolute dividends for us that didn't start him. Obviously the fear was, if he goes 120 with the bye game, it's really only worth a 108. Like he was looking at a 130, and it's like, oh, if he averages 130, it's actually going to be a lot more damaging than that. But the point, he's put together a 54 for this round. It means that one, his price is tanking, so there's a good chance we're going to get him much cheaper than the rest of the competition. And two, that they're in a position where he's getting outscored by a lot of the defenders as it is, let alone the fact that he's going to have an extra buy on top of it. So it's actually worked out really well so far, and it's going to be very hard to see him sort of bring it back. He's got 2 more games to do that. He needs to perform in round 3 and round 4. And if he drops 2 back-to-back 160s, maybe he gets that 120 average, and it's not the worst case scenario for those that started him, but if not, there's a good chance that we just won out on this exchange. So yeah, I know we stuck strong with that all preseason, and it's good to reap a little bit of rewards from that. Now we will jump into the team. This is how it's sized up. I do just want to say that obviously I'm getting my trades out late, but it's because we need to know sub information before we get these trades out. It's way too hard to make subs preemptively. You will notice that I traded in Marty Hoare, and you're probably going to think, Vern, like, he was a sub. Like, what the hell, man? I'll be honest, I had a wedding on Saturday. I didn't end up watching any of the Saturday games. I basically checked to see who the sub would be for North and Freo, and then we ended up heading to the wedding after that. So once I'd seen that Lazaro wasn't a sub, even though he got subbed off unfortunately, it was like, okay, I don't have to trade Lazaro, I can afford to bring in Pink, and I'm like, the chance of Hoare being sub, it's possible, but I think it's less likely. And then, halfway through the wedding, I whip out my phone, have a cheeky look to see what the Supercoach is for, checked out the results for North and Freo, and then I check out the ongoing Hawthorn Melbourne, and I realize Hoare's the sub, and I was absolutely livid. I was so annoyed, and this sounds really funny, and you don't wish this on anyone, and I've said this in more of a joking way, but I messaged the Supercoach Hub boys. I'm like, fuck, Hoare is the sub? Are you kidding me? I'm like, geez, now I just need to hope that, either Gawn goes down or Stephen May. I'm like, Gawn for Supercoach purposes, or Stephen May because fuck that guy. They just need to get punched in the head or snap a leg. And obviously, joking purposes, don't actually want people to hurt themselves, but, just something subtle that they have to get subbed off, but they're actually okay. That sort of stuff. And the next thing we know, May went off at halftime, and everyone was like, whoa, Vern jinxed him, ruined him, destroyed him. So, I got my wish. But then Hoare only put together 12 and half a game. So the only good news there is that May is going to be at least a couple of weeks, you would think. At least. Not too sure what's wrong with Lever. He also went off. I don't know the report for Lever and May, but it means that Hoare is probably not going to be the sub going forward. So it's not the worst case scenario at the end of the day. We obviously got a bit unlucky with Caulfield as well. I don't know his injury update, and I don't know how long he's going to be out for. But yeah, just these defenders, these rookie defenders, just falling. They're just dropping. And, originally I went in with a very light defense because I kind of wanted to break the meta that everyone sort of was like, hey, look, we don't really have good rookie defenders, but we have lots of good, defender premiums. We don't have, and we have a lot of value in the forward line. But then all these forward line premiums popped up, all these defender rookies popped up, and I was like, that's a myth, we're fine. But no, next thing you know, bloody Gibkiss, Reed, Caulfield, Hoare ended up as a sub, so he'll come back. But we obviously lost like McDonald, and they're all just dropping, and it's like we're running out of defender rookies all of a sudden, and it's not feeling great. But yeah, obviously this is how the team sized up. It was best of 18, so it went pretty decent for us. At the end of the day, as much as Hoare's 12 was on field, it just got cycled out, so it didn't really matter. One call, I'll just straight up admit, just got it wrong, picking Bonner over McKercher. It wasn't right. It didn't work out. Now, obviously the reasoning for that is I never thought McKercher was the wrong choice. I always thought McKercher was a great pick, but I thought, because I had so much extra money, if I paid extra 80k for Bonner, maybe Bonner can outscore him 5 to 10 points per game better, still make 150k, so make the same amount of money, but average more better on-field scoring for me. That was the logic of going Bonner over McKercher. But McKercher's a must-have now, and I look at my players, and really Bonner's the only way to get there. So, unfortunately, it was nice knowing you, Bonner. Got McKercher wrong. He was the better pick, and I'm going to have to duck down to him. But yeah, we will just go over these, I guess, real quickly. So, Stewart, awesome, did really well against Adelaide, but 10 intercept marks for a 134. Did feel a little bit unders. Did want a bit better from him. Young 62, holy shit. What's so annoying here is that Young could definitely come good, but if he doesn't come good, he's going to lose so much money so quickly that it's just not worth holding him. It's not worth taking that risk. So, look, I got to be honest, Young is fucking straight out the door. Like, goddamn. He was so young. Why? Too young to lose him. Not really. Like, he's gone. Get him out. D'Ambrosio, what a starting pick. Like, I know 20% of the comp moved him on in, but man, this guy's been a monster. He's going to make so much money for us, and he's been great on-field scoring. Like, that's definitely one that I'm very happy I got right. Howes, yep, obviously awesome. We already sort of talked about Hoare and Caulfield. Pink, not actually too bad. He had an opportunity to kick a goal, and he did hand it off, and then I forgot who he ended up handing it off to, but they didn't even make the distance, I don't believe. But yeah, Pink not too bad. I'm pretty happy with the 58 from him. He'll be a slow burn, but I think he should get us our money. So at least that's there. Now Bont and Lib are at the top here in my midfield. It's a little bit unfortunate because Bont was actually 132 at the end. Lib was 120. Scaling sort of came in. Bont went up 4. Lib went down 5. Would have actually preferred it to stay how it was, just because Lib was obviously more of the pod pick and a lot more people own Bont. So it'd be more advantageous for me if, only by a little bit, but if it stayed how it was. Sort of a 9-point swing that, hey, I still got all the points, but probably a little bit better for the rest of the competition. Now Butters 175. It's not often that your VC working out kind of punishes you, because I wanted Butters. Butters was always going to be my C. I actually was kind of not too sure about English into wits, and I was kind of tossing up this crazy play where I'm like, look, Adelaide, they gave up big points to Stewart previously. Maybe I'll go like Holmes VC, just like put an absolute left of field VC that nobody else has, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine, because Butters is a great captain option. And if it does work out, then I get this ultimate pod play because nobody else would have him as a captain. Obviously, the news comes out that Witts isn't playing, Moyle is obviously playing, and it's like, okay, I can't give up English. Like, English VC, it's too good. It's too good. So I end up VCing English, and yeah, it ends up kind of punishing us a little bit in the sense that Butters ends up earning way more points, and you're like, damn, that's a little unfortunate. Couldn't have we flipped it last week? Put the 175 down last week, 119 this week. That would have looked a little bit better for me. Obviously, we captained Butter last week. Nick Martin bounced back with the 93. That's fine. It is fine. We're just gonna back him in to hopefully do well enough. Crouch elite. So glad we started him. Wines 99. This is fine. Once again, this is fine. Like the 99 and the 95 he got. What do you get? 94. That average looks slightly lower than 95, but I kind of want him to be averaging 100 plus. So he's a little bit unders, but it's not the end of the world. Holmes 95, once again, not bad. I think he's fine. He's obviously a better pick than Wines right now. And then Bonner is just obviously stuffed it. And this is where I think a lot of the damage keeps getting done week in, week out in my midfield. Just in the sense that if people had Sanders, Roberts, McKercher, if they were running them as their like M5 to M8, sorry, M6, M7, M8, if they were running them as them, they would have got as many points as I did with my M7, 6, 8 as well, sort of thing. So I actually didn't really get any advantage over the competition for running mid prices against these rookies because the rookies scored well enough. And obviously I talked about, how much is it really worth, in my philosophy video where I talked about it being a better guns and rookies year, but obviously I talk about, hey, if a rookie comes in and covers you for 60, it's not going to be worth starting some of these players. But if the rookies are coming in and covering you for goddamn 90 plus, geez, that's not good for me who doesn't have these guys on field and don't have them covering. So I kind of need these guys to tone it down a little. Like, great, keep making us money. Everyone has you though, but a lot more people have you on field than me. So if you guys don't mind toning that down towards the 60-70 range, keep making your money, but stop rewarding all these guys that win guns and rookies, please. Which, once again, I said this was a guns and rookies year just because of the way it fell with the buys, but I just really got sucked into so many mid prices I liked. But yeah, just imagine having that McKercher, Sanders, Roberts. I'm sure many of you do, and then that allows you to pay up for these big dog midfielders. That's where your Sarong managers to slip into your team, and you're looking very happy here. You probably still wanted maybe one mid-pricer, maybe you get more premium defenders. Like, it's hurt us a little, unfortunately, how well these rookies are going. But yeah, obviously Roberts amazing, Sanders amazing, and Clark bounces back, which is very helpful. Because I don't think I have to move Clark anymore. That 12 will be out of his cycle real soon. And as soon as that's out of his cycle, he'll start making money. Yeah, it's going to stunt his original cash gen off his round 3 game. But assuming he gets on the field round 4 and he can get out, maybe 50 plus, he's going to still make money. He might be a slow burn, but he's going to get there. So actually not someone we need to worry about, and kind of good that we managed to hold off on. And then, yeah, English, great. Honestly, it felt like he got a little bit unders in the sense that we wanted a bit more from him. But at the same time, Sweet did come in and look absolutely phenomenal and probably ate away a little bit of English's points, as I think he did like 35% of the rucking. So I think he did more rucking than Lob normally would in the team, because Lob only does, I think, 25%. So I think English, unfortunately, just with Sweet coming in, it actually hurt us a little bit more than we wanted. So that kind of sucked. But it is what it is. Still 138, still a great score, and we're never turning that down as the VC. I'll be honest, I did sort of hesitate for a second. I kind of wanted more than a 138. Like, I feel like Butters is 150 plus. Like, maybe I should see Butters. And I was like, no, don't be crazy. If Butters flops, you're going to kick yourself that you lost points for no reason. So just back in the 138 that English got, and it's still the correct play. Irregardless of losing points there, it's still the correct play. Grundy, 99. It's okay. We've got some easy matchups coming here, so hopefully he can do a bit better. Didn't earn too much money, so 16k. He's break even, 112. So, look, he might not really change too much from this price, which is a bit unfortunate to have him there, but we just got to maybe hope for a few spike games, and yeah, maybe he can make a little bit more money. That'd be cool, and maybe we can move him on. Heaney, obviously sensational, definitely a VC option, but once English was so obvious to us, we couldn't turn that down. Fisher also bounces back, so very happy we held him. And the difference with Fisher, I think a lot of people were annoyed with him and just like, hey, like, this sucks, we don't want to pay for this. But, unlike a lot of these, like, midfield mid-prices that weren't going so well, he's so cheap comparatively. Like, I get it. Like, if you compared him and Martin, you go, hey, Martin's probably the better player, so I feel more safe banking him in to bounce back. But at the same time, he's 100k more expensive. So Fisher doesn't even need to perform as well to really make it work price-wise. So hopefully he'll manage to make 100k, and maybe he doesn't end up a keeper. Maybe he ends up as sort of that swingman in that F7, D7 role. We'll figure that out a little bit later. But yeah, Jordan gets an 88. Awesome. He gets a bit of a price rise, so we love that. Reed 63. And then Cadman, this is why we wanted him. We wanted him for these big spike games, but I can't trade him out after this. He's got these massive scores in his system. We're going to have to hold him for a bit longer. Wilson, yeah, good shit. Lazaro, actually really unfortunate with Lazaro. He was probably on track for like 90, but gets subbed off in the third quarter, like towards the start of the third quarter, and he finished on a 66, which, that ain't that bad in reality. Like, that's a decent score, and if he ended up pumping out a 90, he didn't get subbed, he pumps out a 90, I can't really trade him at that point. I've got to keep him, but he got a 66, and he is a sub risk now, which even if he doesn't get subbed next game, he's definitely one that they look at when they're making subs, and that's just really scary. Sexton, a little bit scary with him that they were sort of losing. They wanted to spice it up, so they threw him into the forward line. Obviously, Atkins came on and came behind the ball. They also moved Lukosius behind the ball. So a few things changed around, and Sexton ended up in the forward line. And it's really unfortunate because in the games they've run over the top, and the ball hasn't lived that much down their back. Down in their back line. That's when he's played full game of defense. But in a game where they're losing and they don't have much opportunity in the forward line, he gets flipped into the forward line. No. This is when we want him in defense to be seagulling this ball. But look, it is what it is. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I'm sure you guys have, you've seen this. You know what's happening. I'm sure you were more interested in what my trades are. Because that's a big talking point this week, guys. It's a massive talking point. Like, we just hit the Supercoach Plus button. We can see a bunch of great break-evens for some of our players. We see some awful ones for, like, Young, and it sort of dictates your trades just from that alone. Now, look, Libra, at the end of the day, I'm going to hold him all season. He bounced back. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Libra. Libra, I believe in. But Young, he has that 165 break-even, and yeah, he gets an 80, he loses 40k. And then he gets an 80 again, he probably loses another 30 on top of that. Like, this man could be close to 400k real quickly, so he's just got to go. Butters has a nice break even. Yeah, and these mid prices, they still have good break evens. They should make money, so it should be fine. At the end of the day, the biggest priority right now is McCurch needs to get in for us, so Bonner's kind of just got to go. But we will just, I guess, click on players real quickly and have just a look at it here. So a lot of these players who've performed really well so far, they're going to be out of the side. So Whitfield, decently owned at 9%. Flanders, Miller, Rowell, Green, they're all massively owned, and they're all on the bye week this week. So this is the week that we really want to make some ground, make up some difference, because we don't own any of these highly owned buy players. But I'm going to just quickly look at the break-even game, just because that's what we want to be sort of prioritizing. And we can see it here. Yes, we have D'Ambrosio. That's awesome. But then we're kind of missing the next few, which kind of sucks. It's Sam Darcy. I was calling him Sweet. That's my bad. Sorry, Darcy. He's going to be a must-have for next week, and that's like we need to keep into consideration for if he comes out, even if he has an average game, his break-even's insane, he's going to be someone that we want to downgrade to super early in the season. So we need to keep that in mind when we make these trades. Sharp and Carroll, yeah, both good break-evens. You could go either way with those guys. Yeah, McCurcher is a must-have, and then Dempsey also really good break-even. Not the greatest role, unfortunately, but he does play it really well. And someone like a Tom Powell, who was insane, and he's had 2 great games, and I gotta be honest, that's my consideration here, guys. I'm really tossing up a Powell versus a Dempsey here. I think, like, if you look at the two, it's like Dempsey is guaranteed to make money, and he's probably gonna make us at 150k. Like, that's not a problem. Tom Powell, he may not make us at 150k. If things go wrong, Dempsey probably makes you at least 100k, and maybe he's a slow burn to 150, but he probably gets to that 150k, like, even in a worst case scenario with a Dempsey. So yeah, not as good on field scoring, but you get the 150k. Tom Powell, we're going to have much better on field scoring, most likely, and he's going to make money real quickly over the next few weeks, but the big question comes in, if things go wrong for North, what happens? Like, he's going to make money quickly, but I'd hate for him to pump out 270s and be like, man, we got to get this guy out of our team ASAP. Not score much more than Dempsey. Yeah, he'd still make good money, but then he's just got to be a trade out straight away, and that's super painful. The 129ers at least in his next 2 price rises, so it's going to be very nice. And yeah, I'm really weighing up the two, because the big difference there is if I was to go to a Dempsey instead of a Powell, it gives me a lot of extra money, which is really nice. So we'll just quickly jump back to the team here, and I'll just show you what we're going to be doing. So first of all, we need McCurcher in. So Bonner, unfortunately, you failed. You tried your best, I think. And if you did hold Bonner, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But in my case, where I'm missing McCurcher, he's sort of my direct line to McCurcher. And there's nobody else that I'm really like, I need to get rid of. Like, he's probably the best player to move out from this team. The biggest worry. So we'll just lock that in for now, get that done. Cool, McCurcher's in. Awesome. Now someone else in our team that needs to go, we need to get rid of Hayden Young. He's got to go. He's hitting the chopping block. And then we'll look at our next sub, and this is where I've got a big question here. It's actually Lazaro versus Sexton. Now, the reason that these two are versing each other is because of the Sam Darcy situation. And that might sound weird. Why does he matter to this week? What I mean by that is that if I trade Lazaro this week and Sam Darcy gets 100, who am I trading next week? It's not going to be Dempsey. It's not going to be, Powell, whoever. If I bring one of those in, it's not going to be them. So then it falls down to, it's probably not going to be a Cadman. He has a 90 inning cycle. Could it be? I don't think it'd be Clark, but it could be one of these guys in the midfield. But these midfielders have been so good. Maybe Clark goes and I rotate Wilson into the midfield and get a bit of a DPP swing. That's a possibility. But the annoying thing here is it really depends how much money Clark makes, because if he has another good game, gets another 60, I don't really want to get rid of him if that's the case, because he's kind of got the role, and with Danger out, you'd think it's even better for his job security. So let's assume we're not going to get rid of Clark. We're sort of looking at a Wilson next week, then a Sexton next week, and if I choose to get rid of Sexton next week for Sam Darcy, I kind of lose out this week. And what I mean by that is, say I keep Lazaro. Lazaro goes on, he gets his 53, he makes his 26k. Sexton is a buy. He doesn't make any money. So if I move Sexton this week and then Lazaro next week, I gain 26k. If I lose Lazaro this week and then Sexton the following week, I kind of lose 26k that I would have made on Lazaro. So it's this really awkward situation where I really need to look at who am I trading next week. And I'll be honest, looking at Wilson, I think he's got killer job security and he's not going to get moved in his role. So I think I'm probably not going to move on Wilson. I don't think I'm moving on Cadman because he's got that 90 for his next two price rises. So then it's really Lazaro versus Sexton. I'm probably going to have to move both these guys over the next 2 weeks, I would think. And if that's the case, then I should move Sexton this week. As I said, the only reason I wouldn't do that is if I decide to move Clark. If I move Clark... So I move Lazaro and then I keep Sexton. Because Sexton has a killer role. That's the problem. He's got a great role, but he hasn't really been performing in it. It's very hard. It's very hard. I'm not moving Clark this week, but Clark could potentially go next week. So it's Lazaro or Sexton that gets moved this week, but the other one may get moved the following week. And if that's the case, it would make more sense to move Sexton now. But if I do hold on to Sexton, he has a good role. Say I move on Lazaro, then next week Clark puts out a 30 and we move on Clark. That's a good situation. I think that works quite nicely, but that's relying on Clark to go poorly. And I don't want to bank on my rookies going poorly. I want them to do well. So I don't like that either. But then banking on him doing well, I don't know if I like that either. Oh God. So yeah, this is a very awkward situation for me as to which one needs to go. Now that's one thing I'm tossing up. Let's just say for right now, I'm just going to say let's just move Sexton out for now. We'll just move him out for now, just so I can show you what we're looking at with that trade. So Sexton can move out. And then an even bigger question comes into play here. Powell versus Dempsey. Because what happens with Young? Now, if I was to go to a Powell, I have to get someone cheaper than Young. So I have to move down, which may not be good. Obviously, if I get Dempsey, though, I can go up with Young. And I can get any defender I want. And that's a great question of who I want. So let's just say I look at a Dempsey. Let's just jump back to our round 2 stats. I'm not picking by players. Let's look at averages. And yet Luke Ryan does jump to the top. And he has looked really good with a disgusting Supercoach role. Sheasel also looking really good. And I think if I was to look at 2 players at the top, it would be Sheasel or Luke Ryan. That's one of the ones I would have to pick. I don't know who I'd go for. Luke Ryan's a bit more of a pod. I kind of wanted to start Luke Ryan. But is he really going to average 146 for the rest of the year? No. Is he going to be averaging 110 for the rest of the year? Even if he does, that's actually not the worst case scenario. Hopefully he averages a bit more than that, but that's definitely the question there. Sheasel, he's at a bit of a cheaper price. If he's averaging 110 for the rest of the year, then that's actually really nice for us. If he ends up averaging more than that, then that's really nice as well. So Yeah, it becomes a Sheasel versus Orion. Now, the only other play that I guess I could be considering is if I was to bring in a pal and I have to look at guys that were cheaper than Young, I'm just going to quickly filter down to this 510k because that's how much money we had. And this is what I'd be looking at. Oh, sorry, I need a filter for defenders as well. And this is what I'd be looking at. And I'm not going to be bringing in Harris Andrews. That's not happening. Jordan Clark actually did really well. I've picked him up in a few drafts because I believed it was going to be a good year for him, and he's doing well. Not someone I'm going to pick in Classic, though. McGrath done pretty good in his 2 games. Wagnering Miller. Oh, he looked really good, didn't he? He looked really good. I mean, look, something I was actually considering before the game started is if I was to move Nick Martin to Steele, because I really wanted Steele so badly, especially into the Pies and no Crouch playing. But decided against it, which was the correct move. But man, anyone that has Steele would be feeling really good right now. And Wagnering Miller, he's looking decent. He's got Essendon this week. You'd think he's going to have a good game this week, but it's not really about this week. It's about the rest of the season. Is he a 110 guy? I don't think he's a 110 guy. He might be a 110 guy after their bye, as they literally play every game but 2 at Marvel after their bye, and I'd love to slip him into the team then, but I don't know if I want him right now. And then the final guy, I guess, that's on this list is actually Jeremy McGovern. And that might sound so dumb to say out loud, but Jeremy McGovern, he's always been that sneaky, almost premium, but not quite because he's too injury prone. He always gets injured. He misses out on too many games. And he's someone that could be a premium as he always has these great stints, but then he gets injured. And right now he's on a great stint. He had a good first game. This 144 is insane. I actually have him once again one of my drafts, and I'm pretty happy with the output I'm getting from Jeremy McGovern. I just think it's maybe a little too risky for Classic in the sense that he is just someone that struggles to play all 22 games. But so is Luke Ryan. So is it really that much of a difference in an injury sense? They both struggle to play 22 games. I'm saving 140k doing this. And it means that I get Tom Powell, who might just be a better player in the forward line. And that's really what I've got to consider all week, guys. I've got to consider, if I go Jeremy McGovern, do I then take Tom Powell as my forward? Like, that looks pretty nice. And do I go McGovern or do I go NWN? I think he's probably better to play every game all season. I mean, this could be pretty risky. I'm kind of jumping out of Dodge with Hayden Young to put myself in a pretty speculative pick. And I think that's the biggest problem with me doing this, is that if I'm going to get out of Young, I can't just jump into another speculative pick. I can't jump into one of these sub 500 gay guys that is speculative. If I'm going to do this, I have to bring in somebody that you think's almost guaranteed a top sit premium role. And that's why I think it's got to almost be Luke Ryan instead. I think that's probably the smarter play. We could bring in Luke Ryan, we bring in Dempsey. As I said, we still make the money on Dempsey, so it's not a big deal at the end of the day. Luke Ryan, he has a huge ceiling, and they're up against Adelaide this week, who just gave up a massive score to Stewart. I know it's not all about this week, but that's pretty good too. Like, that's pretty nice. Look, I'm going to waffle on about that for ages, and I just wanted to show you the 2 ideas that I'm really contemplating right now, guys. And yeah, I'll just quickly throw the other ones around. So if we're not looking there, we would be looking at grabbing a Dempsey here. We're going to clear the filter, and then did that filter clear? Oh yeah, it did. I'm sorry, I'm on break evens. And then we're going to look at averages and probably Luke Ryan. And that would be the other way I look at it. I'm going to lock this in just for now. Obviously, just for those that have tuned into the end of the video, first of all, I do appreciate that, but do jump onto my X to actually check out what my final trades will be. I will put that in the description below, but I just wanted to say I appreciate all y'all for tuning in, for your consistent injections of Supercoach content that I administer straight into your YouTube feed. Of course, that is if you're subscribed, so please subscribe for that. But we will finally just go through our captains. And captains this week, I can't look past Timmy English again. I'm a little bit scared of Darcy kind of chopping out with him. And the problem is, if English was to fail, who do I really have afterwards? Do I go Stewart into Hawthorn? That could be an option. Heaney into Richmond? I don't feel comfortable captaining Heaney just yet, so I'd probably look at going Stewart into Hawthorn if I had to choose one. But if I did go in this direction, I think that's also really nice in the sense that I'd have the option of maybe going a Luke Ryan VC into an English C. I think that's really nice. Luke Ryan's coming with 2 banger scores back to back. Adelaide, as I said, just gave up a nice big score to Stewart. This is at Optus, which I'm pretty sure is a very wide oval as well, so I think it's very good for defenders. So if I went this way, I kind of look at a Luke Ryan VC into an English. If I went with McGovern, then I'd probably just go VC English into Stewart. And I have the Cadman to be able to loop that because of the bye players, so that's at least a positive there. Now, obviously, if you don't have English, you don't have Luke Ryan, you don't have those guys, who else are really available to us? Last time, Dacos did do quite well against Brisbane, so feel free to put him for sort of a bounce back game. I would expect him to come back quite nicely, and I know a lot of you guys have Dacos. This is an interesting one. LDU, if you have him, definitely could be a shout. Sarong, obviously a massive shout here. Or as I said, a Luke Ryan. Essendon versus St Kilda. This, I mean, the other sneaky thing here, you could be putting out a cheeky Nick Martin VC, and I know that might sound a little dumb, but like we all know, Saints give up big points to defenders. Usually it's the intercepting defenders, but you could definitely bank it in maybe being a cheeky Martin VC. I mean, it could definitely be a massive pod play, especially if you've got like an English, or you're happy to go for like an English or a Bont C, and you don't really have a, like, put it this way, you don't have a better VC after the Dogs game, and you don't want to really VC anyone before the Dogs game because you want Bont or English to score super badly. If that's the case, maybe throw a bit of a wacky one in there. Throw in a cheeky Nick Martin one, see what happens. I mean, the man gets the ball enough that if he actually uses it well, he might actually pop a 150 plus. So definitely an option. And then you go into your English, into your Bonds, very nice. Steele could also be an option into Essendon, definitely. I mean, Heaney just put down a 130 on them, and Steele's been quite good. I'm pretty sure Butters last year actually did a number on Melbourne, so let's have a cheeky look there. Last time he tossed up, oh my gosh, 184 last time. Okay. Ooh, God, okay. That's an option. That is definitely an option for the Butters VC. Wow, that's cheeky. That's very cheeky. So you could be looking at that, obviously, or you could be looking at maybe a Gorn into a solo. That's not too bad. I mean, I'm kind of going through all games here, because I think all games potentially actually have viable options at the moment. We already talked about the Dogs options. Richmond into Sydney. Maybe a Goulden if you want. I wouldn't be safe. I don't know. This is a hard game to see, because you have to straight up see somebody in this game, almost. Unless you wanted the VC a Stewart afterwards, which I wouldn't feel comfortable in. Sorry, unless you wanted to see a Stewart afterwards, which I'm not that comfortable in. So I think the last 2 games, and maybe just cross them off your lists, unless you want to be a bit spicy, unless you got a bit more faith in me. But yeah, this is how the team's going to look at the moment, guys. I don't know if this is correct. I might also just, throw living... No, that doesn't work. I can't actually... Oh, I guess if I use Luke Ryan, I can actually do it this way. Just in the sense that this gives me a double shot at Lazaro as well. So Lazaro comes in, he drops a fucking 20, and we're just like, okay, Lazaro ain't the pick. We can easily flip Dempsey on field, and we can just ignore Lazaro's score. So we can sort of loophole in our forward line that way to try and get a better score. That's the only line that we actually have this. I mean, if you have the midfielders, obviously, you've probably got a Green to try and loophole, maybe a Roberts, Sanders, McKercher, whoever you need. So don't forget to use those loophole guys to just get an extra player. I mean, as much as we talk about you get 22 and you kind of cull the bottom 4, if you loophole appropriately, you can actually cull, you get a look at 24 players potentially and cull the bottom 6. So could work out quite nicely that way. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video here, guys. Obviously, make sure to join us on the Supercoach Hub. We should be back on Tuesday, again, 9:05. I'll leave the description for the Supercoach Hub Discord down below. Make sure to jump in for the consensus team as well and put your votes in there. It is something that, I'm sort of adminning that. And the consensus team, it's doing well. It's pretty rookie premium Guns and Rookies setup, so it is a little bit better, but we have, I think, missed a few of these golden mid prices. So yeah, we'll see how we go with that. But yeah, till next time, guys, I appreciate you all for being here. Peace. Later.